Doug Dangler, Genoa.
Mary Dreitzler, Woodmore.
Mary Kay Campbell, Woodmore.
Jim Hansen, France, Woodmore.
Grant Cummings, Woodmore.
Welcome to this week's edition of High School Quiz with your host, Frank Venner.
Thank you, and good afternoon again, and welcome to the 31st game in the current series on TV 13's High School Quiz. Today it will be a second-round battle between Genoa High School and Woodmore High School, and the rules are simple. We pay off on knowledge and quick response. Each of our players has a buzzer which activates a light. By pushing the buzzer and giving us a correct answer, it means 20 points. If we get an incorrect response, the question will be addressed to the opposing team. That team can pick up 10 points for a correct answer. We'll be playing 2 periods. The decision of our judges will be final. And for today's game, the judges are from Defiance High School, Judith Burton, from Bowsher High School, David Pugh. So we hope you at home will play along with us, and we'll have the first question coming up right after this. And now we are ready to go. Here's the first question in this game between Woodmore and Genoa. Every 4 years, the first presidential primary is held in which state? Jim?
Iowa.
No, incorrect. Free 10-point guess. Where's the first presidential primary? And this is Mary Kay Campbell.
New Hampshire.
That's correct. It is in New Hampshire. It was the caucus that was held in Iowa. All right, into whose mouth did Shakespeare put these familiar words? Quote, I am a man more sinned against than sinning. 10 seconds. Tom Suplica.
Julius Caesar.
Not Julius Caesar. Who is it, Woodmore? For 10 points, Grant Cummings?
Othello.
No, it's King Lear. King Lear. This is a 3 out of 4 question. A bean is just a bean until you put 2 L's in front of it. Then it becomes the famous preppy mail order house L.L. Bean. Now, I'll give you 4 company names, and you tell me the 2 initials that precede each of the names. We need 3 out of 4. Number 1, Goodrich. Number 2, Hines. Number 3, Reynolds. And number 4, Nielsen. You may have 15 seconds. We need 3 out of 4. This is Tom Suplica.
The first is BF, the third is RJ, and the fourth is AC.
That would do it. And Hines is HJ, if you are interested. So you have your 20 points, Genoa. And let's go to another one in our circulatory system. What is the name of the largest passageway through which blood flows from the left? Mary Kay Campbell.
The aorta.
Yes, the aorta. Blood flows from the left ventricle. The aorta is the answer, and you've scored 20. The Mexican War of 1848 was ended by a treaty that fixed the boundary between Texas and Mexico at the Rio Grande. For 20 points, what is the 2-word name of that treaty? 10 seconds. Tom Suplica.
The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo.
Yes, that's correct. Guadalupe Hidalgo. You have 20. Let's go a 2-parter now, and we need both answers. Help me out with some medical terms. You'll score 20 if you give us the correct diagnosis. Number 1, my doctor says I'm suffering from radiohumeral epicondylitis. In layman's terms, what do I have? And number 2, I've had all my shots, so I am immune to pertussis. What is the common 2-word name for pertussis? Those are the questions, and you have 10 seconds. Jim Schlieber.
Tennis elbow and whooping cough.
That will do it. Tennis elbow the first, whooping cough number 2. Typhon, T-Y-P-H-O-N, was a mythological beast with 100 heads. They were the heads of what kind of animal? David Jimerson.
The Hydra.
Judges? The judges won't accept the answer. A free 10-point guess for Woodmore. No guesses? All right, Mary Kay,
Snake.
please.
Snake.
Yes, snakes or dragons. Either one acceptable. You have 10 points. In parapsychology, someone with ESP claims to possess extrasensory perception. Similarly, a person with PK claims to do what? David?
Move things with his mind.
Move things with his mind. That will do it. Or psychokinesis. That's correct. And you have 20. Let's go 2 out of 4 now. The Soviet Politburo now contains 14 full members. I want you to identify 2 of 4 of these from the clues I'll give you. Number 1, give me the name of the president of the Soviet Politburo. Number 2, the prime minister. Number 3, the party secretary. Number 4, the foreign minister. You may have 15 seconds. We need 2 of 4. Ten seconds. This is Grant Cummings.
The third one's Gorbachev, and the fourth one's Gromyko.
No, that would not be correct. A free 10-point guess now for Genoa. All right, Tom?
The third is Gorbachev, and the fourth is Shevardnadze.
The fourth is Shevardnadze. You're right. You have 2 out of 4. You've earned 10 points. The president, by the way, Andrei Gromyko, and the prime minister, Nikolai Rizkov. All right, 10 points. Pasiphae, queen of Crete, and I'll spell that first word, Pasiphae, fell in love with a sacrificial bull. What was the name of the resultant monstrous offspring, Tom?
The Minotaur.
The Minotaur is correct, and 20 points, Genoa. Let's go 3 out of 3 on this one. If your head's in the clouds, you should have no trouble answering the question. All or nothing, put these cloud types in order from nearest to the ground to farthest from the ground. And here are the 3. Cirrocumulus, cirrus, and stratus. Put them in order from the nearest to the farthest, and this is Jim Schlever.
Stratus, cirrocumulus, and the other one.
And the other one, which is cirrus. And you're right, you've earned 20 points. All right, 2 out of 3. It's the largest statue ever made. Of course, I'm referring to the Statue of Liberty. Let's see how much you know about our nation's symbol of freedom. Remember, 2 out of 3. Number 1, what's the name of the island that eventually became Liberty Island? Number 2, name the Frenchman who designed it. And this is David Jimerson.
Bedloes Island and Bartholdi.
That's correct. Bedloes Island and Frederick A. Bartholdi. 20 points. This United Nations agency grew out of the 1944 Bretton Woods Conference and seeks to promote international financial stability and to prevent disastrous currency fluctuations. For 20 points, name this organization. David Jimerson again.
The World Bank.
Not the World Bank. Free 10-point guess, Woodmore. No guesses. It's the International Monetary Fund. The 3 Little Pigs sang Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? Who wrote the play Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? 10 seconds. Doug Dangler.
Henry Miller.
Not Henry Miller. Free 10-point guess, Woodmore. Go ahead, Mary.
Neil Simon.
No, Edward Albee. Edward Albee. All right, 3 out of 5. You might want to make some notes. 3 out of 5 we need. Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf is a familiar symphonic fairy tale with 7 characters, each identified with a particular instrument of the orchestra. Peter is the string quartet, and the wolf is 3 horns. What instrument is associated with each of these other characters? We need 3 out of 5. Number 1, grandfather. Number 2, bird. Number 3, duck. Number 4, Mary Kay Campbell.
The bassoon, the piccolo, and the oboe.
Oh, boy. No, that is not a correct answer. Free 10-point guess, Genoa. I beg your pardon. I shall finish the question. You are correct, judges, to remind me of that. We got to duck, which was number 3. Number 4 is cat. Number 5 is hunter. Now, we still need 3 out of 5 for your 10 points. Jim Slater.
Bassoon, flute, oboe, French horn, and French horn.
The first 3 were correct. Bassoon the first, flute is the second one, and oboe the third. Clarinet was the cat, kettle and bass drums the hunter. So you have 10 points. In 1906, J.J. Thomson received the Nobel Prize for proving them to be particles. 31 years later, his son George won the Nobel Prize for proving them to be waves. This is Tom Supplica.
Electrons.
Yes, electrons. And incidentally, both father and son were right. You're correct. In 1863, it became the last state east of the Mississippi to be admitted to the Union. What's the name of the state? David Jimerson.
West Virginia.
West Virginia is absolutely correct for 20 points. Here is a 4-parter now. We need all of them. I'd like to have you visualize a map of the United States. I'm going to describe 4 of the United States as we see them on a map, and you tell me which states are they. 4. Now here's the first. Which state touches every one of the Great Lakes except Lake Ontario? Number 2. Which is the only state that borders on only one other state? Number 3. Which state rests on the top of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia? Number 4. 4 states come together at a single point. 3 of them are Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. What is the 4th one? David Jimerson.
Michigan, Maine, Tennessee, and Wyoming.
No, that is incorrect. A free 10-point guess for Woodmore. All right, Mary Kay Campbell.
Michigan, Maine, Kentucky, and Utah.
No, it's Michigan, Maine, Tennessee, and New Mexico. Those are the 4. And that's the halfway point in this game. We'll be back to check the score in just a moment. And here is the score at the intermission of today's game. It is Genoa High School 200 and Woodmore High School 40. And we'll be back to resume in a moment. Now we'd like to have you meet our contestants and find out what their plans are for the future. Here's David Jimerson from Genoa.
I'm a junior at Genoa, and I plan to study law.
Thank you. Tom Supplica.
I'm a senior at Genoa, and in the fall I'll be attending the University of Toledo and studying physics.
Thank you. Jim Schlevert.
I'm a senior at Genoa, and I plan to attend University of Toledo and major in criminal justice.
Thank you. Doug Dangler.
I'm a senior at Genoa, and I plan to go to University of Toledo and study pre-med.
Good. Well, you'll all be together, 3 of you anyway. Now let's go to Woodmore and Mary Dreitzler.
I'm a senior at Woodmore High School, and I plan to major in business and education at either the University of Toledo or Bluffton College.
Thank you. Mary Kay Campbell.
I'm a junior at Woodmore, and I intend to major in astronomy, but I'm undecided as to where.
Thank you. Jim Hassenfratz.
I'm a senior at Woodmore, and I plan to go to BG and either major in business or music.
Thank you. And Grant Cummings.
I'm a senior at Woodmore, and I plan to attend Eichel State University.
Thank you all very much for being with us, and good luck to all of you for your future. Let's play round 2, where we have one rule change. If you push the buzzer and give us an incorrect answer, your team will lose 10 points. And here's the first one in round 2. How many sharps are there in the key of A major? Grant Cummings.
3.
That's right. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. You're right. 20 points. South Korea's new prime minister and its 2 main opposition leaders are not related, even though they share the same name. What is that name? 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Time is up. Kim. K-I-M. Kim. A 2-parter now. When you were in grade school, you may have been uncertain about the number of P's and S's in Mississippi. Now, I'd like to have you spell these other difficult-to-spell place names. There are 2 of them. We need them both. Number 1, spell Tallahassee, the capital of Florida. Number 2, spell Philippines. You may have a few seconds. David Jimerson.
Tallahassee is T, or capital T, A-L-L-A-H-A-S-S-E-E, and Philippines is capital P, H-I-L-I-P-P-I-N-E-S.
You've got it. That's correct. You have 20 points. Tecumseh was one of the great Indian leaders in American history. Of what tribe was Tecumseh the chief? 10 seconds. Five seconds. Jim Hassenfrat.
The Sioux?
Not the Sioux. That will cost you 10 points. Free 10-point guess, Genoa. No guesses? Okay, Jim?
Detroit.
No, it's the Shawnees. The Shawnees. Here's a two-parter. We need both answers. By winning his third consecutive U.S. Open title in 1987, Yvonne Lendl became the third male player to win 3 or more consecutive titles in any of the Grand Slam events during the Open era. Who are the other two? 10 seconds. Grant Cummings.
Jimmy Connors and Bjorn Borg.
No, not correct. 10 off again. Jim?
McEnroe and Connors.
Who?
McEnroe and Connors.
McEnroe, no. Bjorn Borg and John McEnroe, the answers. No points. Now let's get the pencil and paper ready. And for 20 points, tell me, what does 25... Have I got that right? What does 25 squared minus 24 squared equal? 10 seconds. Five seconds. Time is up. Well, the answer is 49, and there is a formula, which we won't go into now, but it's, well, it's y equals x minus 1, and x squared minus y squared is x plus y, and it comes out to 49, and it's so simple. It's been sold countless times and yet remains the property of its original owner. The question is, who designed the celebrated Brooklyn Bridge? 10 seconds. 5 seconds. That's a tough one. The answer is John Roebling. A two-parter now for 20 points. Name these instruments used by both astronomers and travelers. Here's the first. It measures the angle between two objects and is used primarily to observe the angular distance of celestial bodies above the visible horizon. The relationship between two mirrors is the basis of its function. Number two, a simpler instrument. It also measures altitude. It usually consists of a graduated arc of 90 degrees, a plumb line, and a sight. We need both for, in 10 seconds, for 20 points. Five seconds. Time is up. Sextant, the first, quadrant, number 2. While touring the zoo, you might be lucky enough to see a peccary, a paca, and a porcupine. Which of them is not a rodent? 10 seconds. Tom.
Alpaca.
The paca, no, that is incorrect. 10 off, but a free 10-point guess for Grant.
Peccary.
The peccary, you're right. That's the one that is not a rodent. You have 10 points. For another 20, name the hero and the character of the Tolkien fantasy, The Hobbit. Jim.
Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo Baggins, correct. 20 points. Genoa. 2 out of 3 now. Many historical figures have met their deaths in battle. I'll name 3 historical figures. You tell me the battle in which they died. 2 out of 3. Number 1, Stonewall Jackson. Number 2, Davy Crockett. Number 3, George Custer. Mary Kay Campbell.
The second one's the Alamo, and the third one's the Battle of the Little Bighorn.
That's right. The first one is the Battle of Chancellorsville, but you only needed 2 out of 3. You have 20. What term, which also means cleavage, is used to refer to the division of a single-celled organism into 2 or more cells as it occurs in the sexual reproduction of bacteria, protozoans, and some algae and fungi? 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Time is up. Fission. F-I-S-S-I-O-N. During the 30s and 40s, these 2 guys went to Mars. They enlisted in the Foreign Legion. And this is David Jimerson.
Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello. That's correct. You have 20. 5 parts now. It isn't as difficult as you might think. The name halogen means salt producer. Name the 5 halogens. And you may have 10 seconds. And your chemistry teacher would be proud of you. 5 seconds. Time is up. There are fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. Death Valley in California is the lowest point in the United States at 282 feet below sea level. Only one other state in the nation has land below sea level. Is that state Louisiana, New York, or Arizona? Jim?
Louisiana.
It is Louisiana, New Orleans, 5 feet below sea level. 20 points, Woodmore. In golf, a double bogey puts you 2 shots over par. How many strokes under par for a hole are you if you make a double eagle? Jim?
3.
Yes, 3 strokes, 20 points again. Woodmore, 2-parter now. We need them both. A couple of questions about American history. Number 1, who was the first president inaugurated in the 20th century? And number 2, this event took place in Texas when Judge Sarah Hughes performed a certain ceremony there in November of '63. What was it? 10 seconds, 2 parts. Five seconds. David Jemerson.
The first one is Taft, and the second one is the swearing-in of Johnson.
No, that would not be correct. That will cost you 10 and a free 10-point guess for Woodmore. Mary Drexler.
The first one's Roosevelt, and the second, the first one's Roosevelt, and the second one's the swearing-in of Johnson.
No, the first is William McKinley, because that was 1901, and then the second was the swearing-in of President Lyndon Johnson, but we needed both. This state flag displays a star on a field of white, the state's name, and a big grizzly bear. Which state, Grant?
California.
California. 20 points, Woodmore. What important government job has been held by John Rutledge, Roger Taney, Edward White, and Harlan Stone? Same job. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Answer, Chief Justice. Chief Justice. 2-parter now. Let's get the feet wet with a question about rivers. Number 1, name the river formed by the confluence of the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Number 2, formed by 2 headstreams which rise in the Black Forest. This river forms part of the border between Czechoslovakia and Hungary, empties into the Black Sea. What is it, David?
The Ohio and the Danube.
That's right, the Ohio and the Danube. 20 points. Why, what 4-letter acronym? Well, we won't have to worry about that one because that's the end of the game. We'll be back to check the final score right after this. Here is the final score of today's game. It is Genoa High School 260, Woodmore High School 130, and so Genoa wins the right to move to round 3 here in the high school quiz. Our thanks to judges Judith Burton of Defiance and David Pugh from Bowsher. Their teams, Bowsher and Defiance, meet here next week on the high school quiz. Now let's close with a round of applause for all of our contestants, and we hope to see you all next week.
All questions used on High School Quiz are researched and authenticated by the magazine Editorial Research Department of Time Incorporated, publishers of Time, Sports Illustrated, Money, Discovery, People, and other publications in the College Bowl Library.